Welcome to the tour of my 2025 Christmas trees. I've done 7 trees this year, as I have every year for decades. This year, the trees have themes that are quite varied. There's a couple that are based on colors. There's a white and gold tree and a pink and black tree. And then there are a couple of trees that are themed on location. The first is themed on New York City. Then the second is about as far as you can get from New York City. It's themed on the jungle. And then I have a couple of trees that are based on animals. The first I like to call my fluffy white things tree. It's got penguins and polar bears, snowy owls, and rabbits. The second is based on everything to do with mice. Turns out there were a few of them stirring on Christmas Eve. And then finally, I have a very traditional tree, one of my favorites, that is themed on that jolly old fellow Saint Nick. So I hope you enjoy this 2025 tour as much as I enjoyed creating these trees.
Tree number 1 is the white and gold tree, the first color-themed tree of the year. I've done this tree once before in 2017. At 9 feet, it is the tallest tree I'm doing this year. Having 7 trees in the house is a lot, so most of my trees are in the 6.5 to 7.5 feet range. When I did this tree in 2017, I used a white tree, and it turned out nicely, but I did wonder if maybe the white didn't allow enough contrast, or maybe it was too much contrast. I've had this 9-foot platinum champagne colored tree for a few years, and I decided to use it instead. And I think because it's neither white or gold, it really helps bring out both of those colors. Now, I had planned to use quite a lot of gold and white ribbon with this tree, but as I started, something different came to mind, and I've ended up using no ribbon, which is kind of odd for me. Over the years, since 2017, I've collected quite a few white and gold baubles, and so I decided to tie them together with florist wire, creating these big bauble bunches, and then I attach them to the tree, kind of cascading down the sides like I would do with a ribbon. I've had the crystal encrusted reindeer in storage for I don't know how many years, and I decided it's time to bring him out and use him somewhere. I decided to put him with this tree, and even though he's not white or gold or even platinum, I think they work well together. He's sparkly, the tree's sparkly. I think they make a happy home together. If you watched any of my Christmas tree tours from previous years, you might know that I like to, whenever possible, do what I call expand the world of the tree. And really all that means is that I'll add extra stuff. Could be to the ceiling, could be to the floor, just in the immediate vicinity to really add to the environment that the tree is in. Here, what I did is I got these, large white stars and hung them from the ceiling. There are some color combinations that are just surefire winners at Christmas time, and I think white and gold is one of those. So this is a tree that I didn't worry too much about. It looked good in 2017, and I thought, fingers crossed, it's going to look good this year too. Tree number 2 is the first location-themed Christmas tree. This location, New York, New York. I think the inspiration from this came from playbills. Whenever we've gone to New York over the years, I've always kept the playbills from shows that we've gone to as keepsakes. But eventually there was quite a few of them, and I put them in a box and sent them to storage. But in the back of my mind was always this idea, I've got to do a New York City tree. It was fun collecting for this tree and really thinking about what New York City represents to me. Aside from the shows, there's the food carts and the restaurants, the shopping, the iconic buildings, the pigeons, the dog walkers, and New York City is just one of those places that is special at Christmas time. There's all those great window displays, there's that huge Christmas tree and the skating rink at Rockefeller Center. One of my favorite finds was on Etsy. I found an artisan in Halifax who was building these small brownstone replicas. So I ordered 3 and loved them so much that I ordered another 5. And I think they really sort of help to create the ambience and expand the world around this tree. One of the things that makes this tree very special to us is that over the years, my husband and I had the opportunity to take both of our moms to New York City a couple of times. Now, talk about iconic. We just had these incredible experiences with them, from dining at the Top of the Rock and carriage rides in Central Park. To commemorate all of that, every so often in the tree, I've stuck in a photograph of our time there with them. Tree number 3 is the first tree with a theme based on animals. It's the polar bear and penguins tree. I also like to call it the fluffy white things tree. Versions of this tree have been up 4 times before, as far back as 2004, but this is the first time that I incorporated penguins with the polar bears, and then I got kind of inspired by fluffy white things and added some other types of animals, including a seal, there's a mother rabbit and her baby, and a few snowy owls. Every year I do the 7 trees, but I always try and move around where they're located, except for one. There's always a Christmas tree in the dining room. And this is kind of a fun tree to plan because I know it's going to be part of Christmas dinner parties for the season, and because it's at the front of the house, it's the first tree that people see when they approach. Part of this year's tree was inspired by something that I saw in a local Christmas store where they had created like a toboggan hill right on the tree and then had some kids sliding down it. So I've tried to replicate that. I wasn't sure if it was going to work because sticking snow in a tree can be tricky and the sleds are heavy, but I think it turned out pretty cool. And I like the idea of having these kids playing amongst all the fluffy white creatures of wintertime. I added some large snowflakes on the ceiling so it kind of looks like it's snowing in the room. Now, even though this is a snowy tree and there's really not a lot of color, I find it kind of comforting and cozy in this room. Tree number 4 is the Blackpink tree. Not named after the popular South Korean girl group, but it's still kind of a cool Christmas tree name, I think. Now, unlike the white and gold tree, this is another color-themed tree, but black and pink together aren't necessarily a surefire Christmas tree color combination. The original inspiration for this tree is the ribbon that now is on the tree. I just thought this combination of hot pink and black was really rich, so I started to collect. I found out pretty quickly that pink and black decorations are not that easy to find, and so it took me a while to find enough stuff to fill up the tree the way I wanted to. Probably the most difficult thing to find was the tree topper. I knew I wanted it to be hot pink because the tree itself is black. It took a while, but I found that too. Every so often, I get a kick out of coordinating a tree with some of the art in our home. So the black pink tree is sitting next to a large pink dahlia piece that was created by our friend Jill Cope, and another piece called Woman in a Kimono with Flowers by a Victoria, BC artist named Christine Cousineau. Now, if you can't tell by some of my trees, I am a self-admitted sucker for whimsy when it comes to Christmas trees. So for this one, I added a flutter of bright pink butterflies to the ceiling, making it look like they're kind of taking flight from the tree. And they were an inexpensive find at the dollar store, but they add, I think, a pretty sweet touch. Tree number 5 is the jungle tree. Now, if there is such a thing as a divisive tree, this might be it. It's probably the most non-Christmassy tree of the year, but I like a challenge. The inspiration goes all the way back to spring of 2017, and I was at a greenhouse buying plants, and for some inexplicable reason, from the ceiling in this greenhouse were these 3 just incredible looking apes, and somehow the first thing that came to mind was Christmas tree. Who knows why? So I came home with those apes, and over the next few months I started to conjure up ideas for what a jungle-themed Christmas tree might look like, so that I could use these apes. On this tree you're going to find gorillas, jungle cats. If you look close in some of the foliage under the tree, there's a couple of good-sized snakes, but they've all sort of agreed to live in harmony with the sloths and butterflies and parrots and giraffes for the holiday season. I just love it when everybody agrees to get along together. So this tree made its one and only appearance that Christmas of 2017. Now, it wasn't everyone's favorite back then, but it was so much fun to put up. I was very excited to put it up again this year, and I'm just happy to see my ape friends again. Tree number 6 is the most traditional tree of all, the Santa tree. Now, it's probably not surprising that this is by far the tree that I have had up the most over the years. It made its first appearance way back in 1999 and has been up several times since then. I'm realizing that I owe Santa an apology. The last time I put up this tree was in 2015. Now, that year we hosted this really big Christmas come and go party. There was, 200 people, and I was playing Santa. And I did the whole thing. I invited guests to sit on my knee and tell me what they wished for. This was an adult party, and I was expecting that my play acting would last maybe half an hour, and then I would change back into my regular clothes and enjoy the rest of the party. Well, that never happened. It was really one of the best experiences I've had, as these guests waited in line, sometimes for a long time, and sat on my knee and shared their secret wishes. Some of them were funny, some serious, some heartfelt, and all of them were really special. It was a truly wonderful evening, and that memory forever makes this tree one of my favorites. Tree number 7 is the turns out there was a mouse stirring tree. This is the second tree with an animal theme. Now, I was surprised to learn that this tree has only been up once before, back in 2014. It's one of those trees that when people ask if I have a favorite, this is one that comes to mind. It's unusual and unexpected, but I like the warm colors, and it's totally got a Christmassy tie-in to a Christmas classic. Remember this? 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Now, mice had not been on my radar for a Christmas tree theme, but I remember that year, 2014, seeing all these wonderful mice characters in the stores, and I thought, this has got to be a sign. One of the photographs taken the evening that this tree was put up is my shaking hands, or paws, with the Mouse King. I think he said his name was Alphonse. We had a good meeting and reached a non-partisan agreement whereby I agreed mice could stir on Christmas Eve. Turns out there's quite a few of them. As long as they refrain from nibbling on the cookies we leave out for Santa and stay away from the charcuterie board. We'll see how that goes.
Merry Christmas.